Hey guys, we are back for Bandcamp Dailies number 35. And so last night was a pretty intense night. It was quite a long episode. It took a lot out of me. You know, we relived some of my past moments. We looked at an old photograph, and you know, it really took a toll on me last night. I spent all of last night, you know, crying and cutting myself. I'm just joking. But it was an intense episode, and tonight it's not going to be quite as intense. We only have wait a minute, how many songs do we have? We have three songs to listen to. We have two different albums. So Cohesive Deterioration, Cries from a Defective Mind. We've listened to both of these. You know, eventually we're going to run out of songs. Not for a while, because I think there are literally like over 1,500 songs that I have on Bandcamp, so it's not going to be for a while, but eventually it'll happen. Just like with all my Doom videos, I post 4 Doom videos every day, and they're going to run out eventually, but not for a while. So, but I think the point that I was trying to make was we can just like rehash new songs if, you know, if stuff we've already talked about gets listened to and we run out of songs, we'll just have to talk about different stuff with the same songs. That really didn't go anywhere, that point that I tried to make there. Anyway, so we have Reliving Fading Memories, Tragic Immoral Illusions. Both of these songs are from Tragic Immoral Illusions from 2015. And The Deaths of Slime River, this is another oldie. This is from 2001, The Last Breath of the Dying. And this song also ties into yesterday's episode. I don't know if it was intentional, if whoever listened to this did this intentionally, but this does tie in with yesterday's episode. So that's kind of interesting. I will try and tie up the loose ends. And so we're going to get to that. Tonight is also going to be a popcorn night. Last night we had red popcorn. The red popcorn looks very nice, and it tasted very good as well. However, tonight, I think my favorite, we're going back to my favorite, my newly discovered favorite, which is the purple popcorn. Apparently it's higher antioxidants. I guess popcorn has that. It also has more flavor apparently, but I didn't really notice a huge difference. And it also something, but I forget what the other something was. Either way, we are going to be having purple popcorn. Oh, it's got some alliteration as well. All right, so let's click on Reliving Fading Memories, and we will go to Tragic Immoral Illusions. Okay, so first of all, we are going to change the artwork. Now, it took a while for me to figure out where this artwork was. I looked in several different folders. I have a couple of folders on this computer. I also have some folders that came from my old computers that are now on external hard drives. I could not find the original artwork, but I finally did. I finally found it. And I also tried to find the original artwork for The Last Breath of the Dying, but I literally couldn't find it. So I don't know what's going on with that. I honestly don't know. Meanwhile, I mean, it does appear, like the original artwork appears under this. Where is this photograph? I mean, I do have the original photograph, like the sky picture, but where is the original The Last Breath of the Dying photograph? I couldn't find it on any of my, I checked one external hard drive, and I checked my folders on this computer, so I'm going to have to do some sleuthing in order to figure that out, to find out where that is. So what are we doing? We are changing this upload album art. I think it's in here. Oh, I don't even know what it's called. It's NCO5 or something like that, right? Oh, come on, man. Is this even the right folder? It might not even be the right folder. It might be in this one. Yeah. Okay, here we go. NCO5. This is what it is. All right, so there's your original artwork. So let's update the album. Let's view the album. Okay, here you go. So this was the original artwork. Nostril Caverns, Tragic Immoral Illusions. I don't know what font this is. I can't remember. This is a photograph. and the levels have been changed, have been screwed with. This is the what? The screen door. The screen door on the balcony right behind the camera. You've seen the screen door if you've seen some of my videos. Yeah. I think at the start of my Big City Todd video, where I'm still at home and I'm like, hey, I'm going on a vacation or something. I forget what I say. But behind me is the screen door. So that's the screen door. And so I took a picture. I was inside and I took a picture outside. So this is grass right here. This is like taller grass, and then there are some trees over here. I believe this was 2015. Yeah. So 2015, I believe this tree right here, this was the tree that I used I took a picture of that tree for this self-inflicted memory loss. This is a tree with the colors screwed around with. The reason I'm talking about this is because I've mentioned before that tree fell down, like, I don't know, less than a year after I released self-inflicted memory loss. So it is preserved in the artwork of Tragic Immoral Illusions. So that's kind of funny, I guess. I think that's all I had to talk about for the artwork. So I'm going to sort of, I'm going to queue up all this stuff. I'll talk about various things about this album. And then right before we start listening, I'm going to make popcorn. So I want to get all the talking out of the way first so I can enjoy some hot popcorn. Ooh, there's a hockey game on, by the way. Some guy just got injured. No, he's not injured. He was plain injured. Okay. The hockey game is Dallas and Edmonton. Edmonton's leading the series 2-1 right now. The game just started very recently. Yeah, literally just now, just a couple minutes old. All right, so what do we have to talk about? Tragic Immoral Illusions. I like that title. I actually started writing a movie script about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that, 8 years ago. A movie script. It was going to be like an art film or something. It was going to be like a low budget type of thing. I like movies. I'm not really an actor, though I have been acting in some of my like comedy sketches. And I guess some of it does require writing scripts and stuff. And some of it does require knowing how to like film, like, film scenes and whatnot. But I had this desire to make to make a movie or to like write a script. And then in the script, I also wrote directions and for the camera as well. And so I started it. I sort of had like an outline, a vague outline and I wrote all my ideas into a giant text file. I haven't worked on the text file in several years, but today when I was looking for the artwork, I found that text file and I just opened it and it's very big. I forgot how big it was. So I still have like the loose plot in my head and I'd like to make it one day. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think the reason I'm saying this is because I wanted to call the movie Tragic Immoral Illusions. So I thought that would be cool. And ideally I would just release it on YouTube. I don't know how long it would be. I would basically I would just record all the scenes, film all the scenes, and then however long it would be. But then I also thought like I would have to hire another actor. It would be a female actor for various scenes. This was all just sort of theoretical. It wasn't, it probably would never actually be made, but it was just something I was working on. I don't even know why I'm talking about it. Probably just because of the name, but it's something I worked on for a bit. I thought about it for a while. It was just theoretical. It was just like a daydream type of stuff. Anyway, with that out of the way, we talked about the movie. We changed the artwork. All right, so now we're going to the lyrics. So I'll talk about the actual album, I guess. So it says written, recorded, and released in 2 months in 2015. That's true. I started writing it, and I released it all in the span of 2 months. So it's like a full album. It's 34 minutes, 6 songs. And drums and rhythm guitars recorded without overdubs, punch-ins, or timing manipulation. That's true. No triggers or sample replacements used on the drums. Yeah, I forgot to mention why the album was made in the first place. It was for another one of those metalarchives.com songwriting challenges. So this one was a black metal songwriting challenge. You could just write a song if you want. In this case, I wrote an entire album. I'm pretty sure that's why it was made. And that's also why it was made in 2 months, because there was a time limit on the songwriting challenge. And so I had to finish everything within the span of 2 months. And so I'm very happy with how the album turned out. I really like it. This is much more straightforward black metal. It's probably not even straightforward black metal, but in terms of how I would write it. Like before this, I haven't really had like a straight up black metal album before, because normally my music it's more death metal and all that sort of stuff. But this one was much more black metal. I think, just trying to think here. I think Rare Feelings of Vertigo is a little less so black metal, but it's very, so I had to sort of adjust how I wrote the album, because I haven't written an album like this before. It was very fun to write. Also with the time constraints, it was very fun to do that. I very much enjoy, I said that again. I think I was watching one of my really old Doom videos, not really old. I mean, it was 2 years old, and I said that in the video. So I've been saying this for a while. Very much enjoy. I don't know where I picked that up from, but I say that a lot. But it was very fun to make this album. And so we are listening to the first 2 tracks. So there are lyrics. There's a bunch of lyrics. And the lyrics sort of tell the story, a fictional story about... I can't really remember, because I wrote the lyrics and then I just never read the lyrics again. And I've mentioned on previous videos how I don't really pay attention to lyrics. I don't work very hard on lyrics. They're sort of just unimportant to me. So I can't really remember exactly what I was going for, but it was some sort of a fictional story about a guy. I think he killed his either girlfriend or his wife or something like that. I don't remember. Or I don't even know if maybe it wasn't actually real. I don't remember. Maybe the story will sort of reveal itself as the songs, as you read enough of the lyrics. We're only watching, we're only reading the first 2. We're listening to the first 2 songs. So we're not going to read the entire story. But it was also sort of, I think, at least I think I read both of them. Yeah, I read the lyrics for both of these songs before the video to refresh my memory. And they also sound inspired by the plot from Silent Hill 2, which I'm a very big fan of. And then I don't really remember what the exact plot is, because so the guy, the main character, he goes back to Silent Hill to find his wife or something, but I think it turns out at the end that he actually killed her and he's just crazy or something. I forget. I think there are multiple endings in that game. I don't remember the exact plot, like what exactly happened, but that was part of it. That's the gist of it. And apparently there's a new movie. There's a Silent Hill 2. There's a new Silent Hill movie. There have been 2 already, but the new Silent Hill movie is apparently it's apparently what? Based off of the plot from Silent Hill 2, the Silent Hill 2 video game. So I'm definitely going to watch that. Silent Hill 2 is my favorite, and so I'm looking forward to that. Hooray. I just remembered about that right now, so that's why I'm talking about it. So just a reminder, this is all fiction. This is a fictional story right here. So with that being said, I think we're going to start listening. Just let me consult my text file here again. Yeah, so for the movie, I was going to film it around here, like in the woods. And I had all the scenes, and maybe not all the scenes, but I had a whole bunch of the scenes mapped out in my head. And and all that sort of stuff. But I'd like to do it one day. If not that movie, I'd like to make a different movie. Maybe even just like a short. So that would be pretty cool. So with that being said, I think I'm going to make some popcorn. Yes. I was just reading the text file. I'll be right back. Hey guys, we are back and I got my popcorn. I think I popped the perfect amount. It's very warm. You know, one thing that I noticed, I think I noticed it last time too, they mentioned that it's more flavorful and I was like, how is that possible? But it sort of looks like it's almost pre-buttered. I know that's not possible, but there's like yellow, some of it looks like yellowish. There's a yellowish tinge, but some of it's white and some of it's yellow. So I don't know, maybe that's the reason. Apparently yellow popcorn has a better taste, like it's more flavorful or whatever. And then the white popcorn is more of a blank slate where you can add stuff onto it. So I don't know, maybe this has like tinges of yellow popcorn in it. I don't know. Either way, looking forward to eating this. So with that being said, I say with that being said as well. So I have my favorite phrases that I say quite often. So we are going to be listening to the title track, Tragic Immoral Illusions. Enjoy. By the way, something I remembered while I was making the popcorn. This is the only album I've released that has quad-tracked guitars. So normally, you know, when you record an album, you have a guitar on the left side and a guitar on the right side, and they're like doing the same thing. Well, at least for music like this, like metal music, and it sounds better. Instead of just having one guitar, you have two guitars playing the same thing, one on the left and one on the right. But then I heard that sometimes people will do 4 guitars. And so I tried it for this album. It really didn't make a difference, and I just have never done it since. But so this is the only album that has quad track guitars. Sometimes I only use one guitar. Like for the Core Canyon stuff, sometimes at least the old Core Canyon stuff, there's only one guitar. And some of my Time of Death stuff, I usually double the guitar tracks. Okay, so here we go. We're going back to the first riff now with the slow part. And then so it does it 3 times. And on the 4th time, the distorted guitars just let the open E chord, the open E power chord ring out. The drums stop, but the clean guitar keeps playing the riff. And then on the first beat of the next section, all the instruments come back. I love that part so much. So do you remember what I said? I love it because, you know, it's sort of, I don't know, it slows down, and then the distorted guitars just let it ring out. The clean guitar is playing the riff, and then everything comes back on the one again. to be really intense. And yeah, I was really happy with that part. Okay, so this part, I really like this riff. This part sort of reminds me of Gorguts a bit. They're not a black metal band, but this part is interesting because when I wrote the guitar, I pictured it as being in 7/8 time signature, so like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. And then it switched to 4/8 time signatures, so it was 1 2 3 4. And then it switched to 5/8 time signature, 1 2 3 4 5. So it went 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4 5. But then it repeated all of those. So that's how I pictured the riff. That's how I wrote the riff, and that's how you were supposed to listen to it. However, what I failed to realize was that when you add up those numbers, 7, 4, and 5, it equals 16, which is basically 8. So it's no different than just doing 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So it's normal, as opposed to being 3 sections of I guess 2 of them are odd time signatures, and then there's a part of 4. So it's 7, then 4, then 5. You could just, instead of counting like that, you could just count normally 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. And so yeah, I didn't think about that. I do bring that back later, though. I sort of break down the riff to sound more normal, at least with the drums. The drums just do like a regular beat. But I find that to be kind of funny, because another reason why I find it to be funny is because I prefer listening to it as if it's just in 8/4 time or whatever, 4/4 time. I prefer just counting in 8 as opposed to breaking the riff up into 7, then 4, then 5. It just sounds better to me. I didn't even think about that when I was writing it or when I recorded it. This I started listening to it like, I don't even know, quite a bit later. I was listening to it, and I was listening to it in the 8 way as opposed to in the 7 4 5 way. I don't know if I'm making sense here. It's kind of hard for me to do this. There were tabs for this, but I didn't write out proper time signatures, so I didn't bother showing them in here, because that wouldn't have helped either. And also, I don't know if I have I'm going to play the song again, obviously. I'm going to press play, but I don't know if I talk at the same time, if you'll be able to hear me. But I'll try that. Maybe I'll do it during the clean part. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You hear that? Did you hear that? And then I'll do it. So that's splitting it up into 7, then 4, then 5. And then I'm going to do it with 8. So when I recorded the song, that's how I thought of that riff for both the drums and the guitar. I don't even know if I could play the drums while thinking of it in 8, because it would feel too strange, because there are like some fills and stuff that I hit on certain beats when I break it up into 7, then 4, then 5. So I don't know if I'd be able to play it in 8. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then here's where I break it down with the drums, just playing a slow beat. This part, I really like this part. I really like the riff. I really like the drums. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I very much enjoy it. And it's I really like it even more once the keyboards come in. I forgot about the keyboards on this album. Yeah, the keyboards are sort of prominent on the album. Sometimes. I don't think they're very prominent on track 3, or track 5, but on the other songs they are. At least during the melodic sections. And if I remember correctly, I think I used VST and Reaper for those. I talked about about the Reaper VSTs in, I think, yesterday's episode. Where I had sort of changed my laptop keyboard into a music keyboard. I rebound all the keys into a 4-octave music keyboard, which I guess would be 48 keys, right? I do that twice. I do just double bass and I only hit cymbals for like one of the sections, but I do it again earlier on. I really like that. I did that actually. I got that idea from when I did it on The Dying's Last Breath, which I guess was a year before this, in 2014. Maybe that was 2013 actually, so 2 years before. But I do the same thing on that song. All right, so we're getting ready to go to Reliving Fading Memories. I think this is my favorite song on the album. It's either this one or the third one. The third one is basic. Third one is just a constant tempo throughout the whole thing. I don't usually write songs like that, so it feels weird to say that this is my favorite song. Whereas the tempo changes quite a bit on the second song here. I also like the first song though, don't get me wrong. This album is really good, honestly. It's a very good album. You're just going to have to trust me. Okay, so let's listen to this. By the way, so I think the first song was about the guy killing his wife or girlfriend or whatever. And the second song is sort of about him trying to relive the happy times he had with her or something. I don't know. And then I think the third song, Convoluted Justification, is him trying to justify why he did it. Two questionable regrets. I don't remember what that's about. Rare Feelings of Vertigo, I'm assuming, is about him going crazy. And The Eventual Desperation is him, getting ready to end his life. Very family friendly, very family friendly lyrics. Yeah, by the way, so just listen to all the timing changes and the tempo changes in the first 20 seconds. There's a lot of cool chords on this song, this album in general, but I think that's why I like this song so much. It's got a lot of chords, a lot of cool chords, and a lot of the riffing is chords and ringing notes, and so I really like that. I think it sounds really good, and I have a lot of cool chord ideas in this song. I just remembered the part that's just about to happen is another one of my patented screwing around on drums moments where I'm trying to be very random, and I'm just improvising. I mean, I am improvising. And so, yeah, I do that sometimes. We've talked about that on some previous songs. I don't really remember which ones, but I do it sometimes, and I do it here. So I always like these parts of the songs where I just sort of screw around and sort of go off on a tangent, a bit of a tangent, before going back to the song. So obviously the guitars are written. I think it's the guitars just play like a chord or something. And then when I was playing the drums, I was listening to metronome clicks so that I was able to stay within the boundaries of the song. So I knew when to stop and all that sort of stuff. And also, when I'm recording the drums, I'm listening to the MIDI version of the song. So it has the piano music in there as well. By the way, none of the keyboards were added into when I made the MIDI. I only wrote the guitars, and I wrote the keyboards after the fact, after the guitars were all done, because I needed to sort of just sound it all out, see if it worked and stuff like that. And by the way, spoiler alert, there's a guitar solo in this song. I don't know what I was thinking, what kind of drugs I was on. I wasn't on any drugs, but the reason I'm saying that is because I usually don't put guitar solos in my songs, especially a black metal song. So I don't know what influenced me to put, or what inspired me to put a guitar solo into this. I honestly have no idea. But it sounds awesome. It's a really good solo. It's probably really easy to play because I'm not a guitar solo person, but it fits the song great, and I'm really happy with it. So if it sounds good, then I'm fine with it. This part sounds like really happy for some reason. I don't know why. I was trying to think if it bothers me or not. It almost bothers me, but it doesn't quite. right, there you have it. There is Tragic Immoral Illusions. We have Tragic Immoral Illusions and Reliving Fading Memories. I hope you enjoyed that. Now we have one more song. We have one more song to listen to. It is called The Deaths of Slime River. And I do have some stuff to talk about this. So unfortunately, we can't change the artwork because I still haven't figured out where it is. I'll work on that, I guess. We've talked about this album in a couple different videos before. And so this is track 5. I just need a drink of water because I need a drink of water. Okay. I think, yeah, the purple is probably my favorite. Yeah, it's like some of them are more yellow than the others. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I do have some stuff. The first bullet point on this is to change the artwork, but I can't do that. So, yeah, this album was released when I was 18 years old in the year 2001. And I did say earlier in the video that this ties in with what I was talking about in yesterday's video when we were what were we talking about then? Oh, when we were talking about Handsome Bank Teller. Yeah. So so what? Okay, so I lived in St. John's, Newfoundland. Oh yeah, I wanted to bring this up actually on Google Maps. I should have done this yesterday, but I was stupid. So Ontario is definitely, I lived like over here. And that's not quite in the center. I guess center would be more like Winnipeg or something, or over here. But, you know, St. John's, Newfoundland is way over here on the East Coast. And then where I lived was over here. That's over 1,000 miles, by the way. And so I guess from here over to here might even be 2,000. It's quite far. But there was a reason why I wanted to say this. Yeah, so I moved to St. John's, Newfoundland, right over here, in 1997, and I lived there until 1999. And so yesterday, oh my God. Oh, just itchy nose. So itchy. So itchy. It's just endlessly itchy. Oh my God. Okay, so what am I trying to say here? I have to consult my text file. Yeah, so I moved to St. John's, Newfoundland, and I got a girlfriend, and then my family had to move. St. John's, Newfoundland is over here. Then my family had to move back in 1999. I was devastated, and so then I started writing this album, The Last Breath of the Dying. Started writing this album. So I wrote like a bunch of these, the first batch of songs, the first 4 songs, I guess. And then I decided that I was going to move back to St. John's. So we moved back here to Sudbury, Ontario. Where is it? It's up here, Sudbury, Ontario. And St. John's, Newfoundland is over here. And so then I decided that I was going to move back over to St. John's, Newfoundland by myself. I quit high school. I talked about this in my most embarrassing moment in the Q&A video before. So I quit high school. I got a job at a burger place. And I was hoping to get back with my girlfriend, but she had other ideas. She had a new boyfriend, and so it was a complete disaster. But while I was there for like 3 months and I lived at my friend's parents' house. They were nice enough to let me live there. They were very nice people. And what? So while I was there, I didn't bring anything with me really except for my clothes. And so, I mean, I'd been playing guitar for a while, and I had been writing this album, writing The Last Breath of the Dying, before I moved back. But when I moved back, I didn't bring my guitar or anything like that. So before I moved away from St. John's to move back to Sudbury in 1999, I had an extra guitar. So I gave it to my friend Curtis. And I think I also gave him a little amp. Maybe I didn't give him a little amp. Maybe he got a little amp on his own. But I gave him that guitar. And then when I came back to St. John's he was nice enough to let me borrow that guitar and the little amp. So I was living at my friend's house, so I hooked up the amp in there, and I wrote 3 songs while I was living there. So I lived there for 3 months, and I wrote 3 songs for this album, and it was track 5, track 6, and track 8. And one of the songs we're listening to is track 5, The Deaths of Slime River. Okay. So, all right, so we're going to go to the origin of the name. So the Deaths of Slime River, that describes something that happened while I was living there. So because I wasn't in school, and I think I was only working part-time at the burger place, so there was a bit of downtime. The buddy I was staying with, he also quit high school, so we were kind of screw-ups, obviously, and we would just smoke weed during the day and stuff like that when I wasn't working, and so it was fun, but it was not productive at all. So stay in school, kids. Don't do drugs, kids, etc. Also, back in these days, this was in the year 2000. So back in these days, the weed was much less strong. It was much weaker. These days, you can go online and you can pick like the THC amount in your weed. It's just insane. Back in these days, and in like 25 years ago, you couldn't do any of that, unless I guess you were like a super high roller type of person who had like really good connections. But we were just, shithead teenagers who didn't really have any of those things, and so usually the weed we got wasn't very strong at all. And so, but that's what we used to do. We just used to screw around and whatnot. There was a point to this though. Oh yeah, the origin of the name. So one thing we used to do, here's St. John's. So I just have to find a specific neighborhood. So here's the East End, Virginia Park. Okay. So I used to live like up here. I used to live on Patty Dobbin Drive. And then, so that's up here. And then over here, we used to hang out over here in Virginia Park area. And by the way, I fell into this lake one on Christmas Eve. I think I talked about that in one episode. We tried to, because in order to get over here, we used to walk from Virginia Park over here, and it's much faster just to cross the lake in the winter as opposed to like having to follow the road. And so we tried doing that on Christmas Eve. The ice was extremely thin. We made it halfway out and we fell through the ice, and we had to walk the rest of we had to like break the ice. It was a very shallow lake, so it wasn't dangerous. It was really stupid of us to do that, but I still remember doing that. I don't know how long this is, but yeah, that was one thing. But what am I talking about here? The origin of the name. So we used to hang out in Virginia Park, and then there's this like wooded area over here. I think it must be this wooded area over here. It must be this part over here. So I don't know who figured it out, but someone started building like a cabin out in the woods over here. Like just a really, not a very complicated cabin, just a very simple. I don't even know how they got the wood out there, but they did. It was a little bit of a trek to get over here too. So it was kind of, I don't know how they did that, but anyway, they did that. There was also like a wood stove in there that had like a chimney and stuff. It was very crude, but it worked. We used to hang out there, smoke weed and stuff. And then another thing is, I think you could take this road. I'm assuming it was this road, and then you just follow it over to the ocean. This is the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean. Will it say it if I do it? No. Like, why won't it say Atlantic Ocean? North Atlantic Ocean? Okay. Or maybe it was Labrador Sea. I don't know. Either way, one day we took the trek and we came over to the ocean, or to the water right here. And you can see it must have been over here, the Scary's Islands or something. I don't remember, but you could see like how, and you can see, but you could also imagine how ferocious these waves would be when there were high winds. So we get over here. I don't know if this is the right part, but and we were able to sort of climb over some of these rocks are really big. And so we climbed onto some really big rocks to get as close to the water as possible, to the waves. And so that night it was very windy and the waves were very, very tall. And it was a little dangerous. And so that was part of the fun. So there was a bunch of us. It was getting dark, so we decided to go over there. We get on top of the cliffs or whatever, and we're just hanging out on top of the cliffs, watching these waves come pretty close to us. They crash against the rocks and then, spray. And then just before we left, there was a really huge wave that came up, and the water, we literally got wet. And that's when we realized, okay, this is way too dangerous, because if an even bigger wave would have come over and would have knocked us off the rocks, we probably would have died, because there would have been no way to get off. It's just rocks on the bottom. It was really stupid of us to do that, but that's what the title references. That night that we went onto the jagged rocks and to watch these giant waves, and we almost died, but we didn't die. And we were very careful, but it was really stupid of us to go out there. I remember the rocks being really slippery too. So, but no one got hurt. No one got hurt. It was pretty fun, and it was a good memory. And I wrote a song about it. At least I named the song after it. Okay, so that's why I opened up Google Maps. What do I have to talk about now? Okay, so should I just play the song in a little bit? I'll play the song a little bit just to get you, because there's like 3 different sections of the song. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and an end. And they're different from each other. So we'll start listening to The Deaths of Slime River. This was written when I was in Newfoundland on my old guitar that my friend lent me while I was there for 3 months to try to get back my old girlfriend, and I failed miserably. So there's an intro, there's like an ambient noise intro. And so a lot of some of these sound effects are from Quake, the video game Quake. And I think some of the other sound effects are just ones that I found online. That's what I used to do. So this was 2001. And so they used to have these websites where you could download sound effects, very low quality sound effects, because, this was back in the dial-up days or the very early internet days. So, but some of them, it's like a mixture of Quake and then also this sound effect, the other sound effects for the internet sound effects, online sound effects. And then there's also some keyboards. And for this album, I borrowed my friend Dave, I borrowed his keyboard. That moaning, that's from Quake. If I remember correctly, this was from like the first level in Quake. It's not even a level, it's the one where you choose your difficulty. I really like this riff, by the way. I was really happy with this riff, and I still like it. I've talked about how I don't think this album really holds up very well these days, because I was so young when I wrote it and when I recorded it. But this riff is still awesome. This riff will never go out of style, in my opinion. And it also comes back, like it goes into a verse, this you can consider this riff to be the chorus. So then it goes into a verse, and then it does something else, and then and this riff comes back. The chorus comes back, and once the chorus comes back, it's very cool. You know, I just realized. Oh, I forgot about this. There was this. I'll talk. Yeah, I used to go on this. I literally just remember this right now. I used to hang out on this internet chat room on Napster back in the day. It was like the Unlord server. That's what the server was called, Unlord, all caps. And that's what the guy's name was, Unlord, who owned the server, who ran the server. And what am I trying to say here? Oh yeah, so there was a bunch of people who were on the chat room. A lot of cool people there. This was for like underground metal and whatnot, death metal, black metal. All the cool people were there. And what am I trying to say? Yeah, so I knew this girl used to come there. What was her name? I forget what her name was. Like her actual name. I don't remember what her actual name was. She was a little older, and she lived in the same place as this band that I don't remember the name of. God damn it. But there's this record label called Comatose Music, I believe. And the guy who runs that record label is the guitarist for this band, who I can't remember. And the girl was friends with the band. And so I remember showing her, I don't know if it was this song or this album. So this was, it was after I finished the album. So it was either 2001 or 2002. She downloaded it from me. I guess she listened to it and she showed it to the vocalist from that band. I wish I could remember that. It's really bothering me that I can't remember. Anyway, he recorded vocals on this song, and she sent me like an audio file of it. I have it somewhere. I literally just remembered about it right now. So the guy's name is Jay. I know that because the file name has Jay's vocals on it. But so I'm just telling a story with nothing to show for it. But that band is from like Kentucky or Tennessee or something like that. I forget where. By the way, I talked about how this song is split up into 3 different parts. The first part is by far my favorite. So this riff right here, I like this riff, and then after it's done, it does the same thing, but it does it like 2 times faster, I guess. And then after it does that, it goes back into the chorus. And when it goes back into the chorus, it's like, it's really cool, in my opinion. That's my favorite part of the song. And so I split up each section of the song with this part here, where I just hit a chord, and the drums hit, like everything hits together. Yeah, this part, I'm not a fan of this part anymore. But it will give me a chance to talk about something else. This song has actually been played live. This is probably the only Time of Death song that's ever been played live. And it was at Battle of the Bands at my high school one year. And it was the second last year I was there. So I played guitar, Dave played drums, and Ken played bass. And so Dave did not play the blast beats though. He switched it up for the blast beats. And what am I trying to say here? And so yes, so we played this at Battle of the Bands. I don't think we won. We definitely didn't win, but it was fun doing this. I remember towards the start of the song, I don't know, it was within the first 20 seconds or something, I dropped my pick because I was like screwing around too much. And so I went down to pick it up. Everyone stopped and we restarted the song. So that's something I remember from that. And there was a lot of people in the gym watching us. And so that was really fun, actually. That was probably the most people that's ever watched me play guitar before. When I was playing Battle of the Bands, or there was also Guitar Wars, which was cool. I played in that with this other guy named Rory. We played a couple songs. I remember we played At Dawn They Sleep by Slayer. We also played Staring Through the Eyes of the Dead by Cannibal Corpse. And I can't remember the third song we played. That's always bothered me. I can't remember that. But that was cool as well. They were separate events. They weren't part of the same event. Guitar Wars and Battle of the Bands. But it was always cool doing that at high school. I think, you always liked doing that as well if you were just watching, because you could get out of class and, go to the gym and not be in class. Another cool thing about the Battle of the Bands, though, was I remember for this year, the principal invited all the musicians who were going to be performing. He invited all of them into like a special room in the school that I'm assuming was only reserved for teachers. It was, I've never seen it before. And there were no windows or anything, but I remember there was there was like a big conference table with comfortable chairs around for I guess that's where all the teachers have their important meetings and whatnot. But we got to go in that room, and the principal ordered a bunch of pizzas, and we got to eat free pizza. And I remember thinking that was so cool. And we got to do this before the event, before Battle of the Bands. So that was really cool. I thought that was really cool. And I still remember that. Still remember going in the room. The only thing, I can't remember what kind of pizza we got. Like, I can't remember what store we got pizza from. But it was good. It must have been good. It was pizza. It was free pizza. So that means it was really good. And then after this, after we performed this song, I don't remember what other songs we performed that day. All I remember is playing this song, to be honest. But after this, I was feeling all good because, you play live and you feel good. And then I remember I was in the office for some reason. I was talking to like the secretary or whatever. I don't remember what about. But then walks in Jessica Anderson. If you watched previous Bandcamp Dailies, I've mentioned her before. Because she was in the class that I met Dave in. And so this must have been the next semester. So we were done with that class. She wasn't in any of my classes anymore. And this was the last time I saw her. She comes walking in with her best friend, who's also named Jessica. So the two Jessicas. And so I say, hey, Jessica. And then she just looks at me, and then she starts like, what's the word? Snickering, or that's not the word I'm trying to think of. Giggling. Yeah. She starts giggling with her friend, and then they just leave without saying hi or anything like that. And so I don't know if they were laughing at me because I had just played guitar, or if she thought I was super hot and she was embarrassed that I said hi to her. Which one? Can you let me know in the comments? Which one do you think it is? Because I always assumed that she thought I was, what did I say? What was the first one? It wasn't the second one where she was embarrassed because she thought I was hot. It wasn't that one. It was the first one where she was laughing at me. She thought, I don't know what she thought. It was whatever the first option was. It wasn't until later that I thought, maybe she actually thought I was cool. Maybe I said hi and she was like, she was embarrassed, and I don't know where I'm going with this story. I talked about this in a long time ago, not on video, but I did a bunch of like audio commentaries for my music. And I remember talking about that then, but anyway, that was the last time I saw her. And it was her laughing at me. It was either her laughing at me or her giggling because I said hi to her. So yeah, that's what it was. It was one of those two. And I'm not sure. I always assumed it was the first one. She was laughing at me. Okay, so I think that that's everything that I wanted to say. So now we're just going to finish the song. This is my acoustic guitar, by the way. And I had long hair back then, too, when I was playing at Battle of the Bands. So I was looking pretty good. I was looking pretty sexual. Yeah, like I never thought that she thought that I was a loser or anything like that. I always thought we were acquaintances, right? Because we were in the same class. We used to talk in class with Ken and Dave. You know, we were just screwing around in class and whatnot. So I didn't get the vibe that she thought I was like some sort of loser or something like that. Maybe she did eventually because I started growing my hair out, and I don't know. I don't know how to say this properly. So we're getting to the third part of the song. The third part of the song is death metal again, and it's pretty boring, to be honest. Okay, so I do something similar with this song, actually. And this is all the way back in 2001. Something similar to what I was talking about in track 1 of Tragic Immoral Illusions, where I changed the riff depending on how you count. And so this riff right here It's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's what it's like. But then earlier, it's in a different timing. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. I think that's what it is. It's in 6. Okay, we're gonna have to go back. It was right there. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see the beats are on the crashes. And then later on, yeah, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's like a swing feel. And then but it's in like 4/4 time. So it's like 4, counting 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You know what I'm talking about? So it's the exact same riff. I'm assuming it's the same tempo. It's just the timing and how you count is different. So that's an interesting thing about music. You can change like a riff or something just with a different timing. Even if it's the exact same riff, you can just count differently, and you can change the riff just by counting differently. All right, there you go. That is the end of the song. That was The Deaths of Slime River, all the way back in 2001 from The Last Breath of the Dying. I wrote that song when I was lost. I had dropped out of high school. I was working at a burger place, smoking weed, and sad that my ex-girlfriend didn't like me anymore. So, but I really like the first third of that song. The first third of that song is almost perfect. The verse, I don't like the verse riff, but the chorus is awesome. And then that extra riff before the second chorus, that's really good too. And then the middle part where it's clean, I don't like that part at all anymore. It's not super offensive, but it doesn't hold up. And then the last part is just too generic and boring. So in general, I would just like cut out the last 2/3 of that song, and it would only be a minute long or a minute 30 or whatever. But so that's one of the songs where some of the riffs hold up. There are some other songs. A Darkened Dream, I like this song all the way through. So As the Night Sky Turns Red, this has some absolutely hilarious guitar solos on it that I make fun of every time I hear it. So hopefully we can do a video about this one day. Inside the Abattoir, I really like that song. And then I think we've talked about the other ones. But anyway, I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.